The film begins with a man named John, who works as a bank employee and lives alone. At that time, John is recording a video of himself to upload on a dating website, saying that he is an introverted person who has lived his whole life in solitude and has never had any relationship with women. That's why he decided to upload this video, hoping that some girl might see it and they could get to know each other. He then starts browsing the site and watches videos of women also looking for a partner, each one talking about herself, her traits, and what she's looking for in a man. But none of them appeal to him until he finds a Russian woman who catches his eye, so he decides to send her an invitation to come to England so they can meet in person. Some time later, we see John at the airport waiting for Nadia, the woman he met online. She turns out to be very beautiful. While driving home together, John tries to talk to her, but she doesn't respond. He soon realizes she doesn't speak English well. He finds that difficult, but convinces himself that they'll eventually find a way to communicate. When they arrive at his house, he has a welcome sign ready that says, "Welcome, Nadia." However, the language barrier continues to bother him. He had imagined that they would talk endlessly and that she would fill the emptiness in his life, but Nadia never speaks to him. Strangely, she acts very naturally, as if she's already used to being there or wants him to get used to her presence. She goes to the kitchen, cooks, and serves him food. While they eat, she takes out a small box containing a ring and hands it to him, gesturing for him to wear it as a sign of their relationship. He tries to explain that he doesn't like wearing anything on his hands, but since she doesn't understand, she insists until he finally puts it on. Later, they watch TV together, and John tries to talk to her about the movie, but again she doesn't respond. Afterward, each of them goes to their room to sleep, while John spends the night thinking about whether having Nadia with him is the right thing or not. The next morning, he goes out for his usual jog. When he returns home, he finds her taking a shower. Out of curiosity, he starts going through her belongings and finds a gun, but when he tries it, he realizes it's just a lighter shaped like a gun. He continues searching and finds a telescope but nothing else suspicious. He then calls the airline and books her a return flight to Russia for the same day. When she comes out of the bathroom, he tells her that he booked her a flight back, saying that their relationship won't work since they can't communicate. But Nadia approaches him affectionately, and they end up spending the day together, which makes him change his mind and cancel the ticket. Later, John goes to his job at the bank for training, and when he finishes, he rushes home excitedly to see her. He gives her an English-Russian dictionary and tells her she needs to start learning English so they can communicate better. Nadia actually begins learning and slowly starts talking to him. From that point, they go out together often, and John feels truly happy. He finally has someone to share his days with, and she's beautiful and seems to love him. One day, Nadia tells him it's her birthday and asks him to throw her a small party. John agrees, saying they should celebrate just the two of them to make a special memory. That evening, John brings a cake, and they sit down to celebrate. But suddenly, the doorbell rings. Nadia opens the door to find two young men standing there. They greet her cheerfully and wish her a happy birthday. She's thrilled and invites them inside to join the celebration. John, confused, asks who they are and what they're doing there. One of them explains that he's Nadia's cousin, and she invited them to spend her birthday together so she wouldn't be alone. He adds that he's the only one who speaks English, so he'll translate between Nadia and his friend Alexei. John feels uncomfortable having two strange men in his house, especially when they decide to stay overnight without asking. But seeing Nadia's happiness and her bright smile, he lets it go. Yuri, the cousin, tells John that Nadia loves her birthday very much, and that the last gift she ever got from her late father was the telescope she still keeps. After a while, John starts to relax and joins in the celebration. They all take a group photo to remember the day. When the party ends, John shows the guests their room for the night and then goes to bed himself. The next day at the bank, we see John learning Russian and writing Nadia a love letter in her language. When he returns home, he can't find her, so he goes out looking and spots her in the woods with Yuri and Alexei. They're playing music and making a campfire barbecue. They tell him it's a family tradition and invite him to join. Later, they all go swimming in a nearby lake. During the swim, Alexei starts teasing Nadia and holds her underwater, which upsets her and frightens John. When they return home, John confronts them and tells them that he's been kind enough to host them but can't let them stay any longer. He asks Yuri to translate to Alexei that they must leave in the morning, though he'll let them stay the night out of respect. Yuri thanks him for his understanding. The next morning, John wakes up and realizes Nadia isn't beside him. When he goes downstairs, he finds chaos. Alexei has lost control and attacked Yuri, tying Nadia to a chair. Yuri tells John that Alexei feels humiliated about being thrown out and won't leave empty-handed. He even threatens to scar Nadia's face with boiling water if John doesn't cooperate. John, terrified, asks what they want. Alexei demands money. John promises to get it, just to make him release Nadia. John then goes to work carrying 2 guitar cases. When his co-workers ask about them, he says he's decided to learn guitar and that today is his first lesson. That day, there's another training session at the bank, supervised by a committee member. The manager asks John to escort the visitor around. John takes advantage of the distraction, sneaks into the vault, fills the 2 cases with cash, and escapes. He drives straight to the garage where Alexei is waiting, gives him the money, and begs him to release Nadia. But then comes a shocking twist. Nadia tells Alexei that she loves him, and Alexei confesses that he loves her too. It turns out the entire relationship was a setup. They had planned everything just to rob John. He's devastated and speechless. Later, we see Alexei, Yuri, and Nadia in an apartment, counting the stolen money and saying it's the biggest job they've ever pulled off. At that moment, Yuri enters the bathroom where John is tied up, and begins talking to him calmly, telling him not to be angry or take things personally. Then he shows John photos of many other people who were deceived in the same way, saying, "You were the best of them all, but that doesn't change the fact that we had to finish our job and take the money." Meanwhile, Nadia is talking with Alexei, telling him that she wants to stop what they're doing because she's discovered that she's pregnant and doesn't want to continue down this path while carrying a child. She says, "You're going to be a father too, and you shouldn't do anything dangerous anymore." But Alexei becomes furious, saying that children will only get in the way of their work, and that she should get rid of the baby. They keep arguing. She wants to keep the baby, while he refuses to become a father, until he slaps her and storms out, leaving her crying. At the same time, news spreads everywhere about the bank robbery and about John, the employee who had worked there for 10 years without anyone ever suspecting him. People speculate that a third party must have pressured him into committing the crime, but even so, he is now wanted by the authorities and must be caught as soon as possible. A little later, we see John in the bathroom struggling to free himself. After many attempts, he finally succeeds and quickly stands up, only to discover that Nadia is also tied up in another room, lying on the floor. He rushes to untie her, but as soon as he does, he hits her out of anger, blaming her for everything that has happened to him, because he did it all out of love for her and fear of losing her. But she starts hitting him back, insisting that she was also a victim, revealing that Alexei took the money and escaped with Yuri. John is stunned when he hears her suddenly speaking fluent English. She tells him that they should go somewhere quiet to talk. They go to a cafe, and John still can't believe how well she speaks English. She tells him her real name isn't Nadia, but refuses to reveal what it actually is. He responds that he doesn't care to know. Their argument continues at the cafe. He accuses her of lying and deceiving him, while she insists that she was forced to do it and needed the money to secure a better life for her child. In the end, they agree that Nadia should go back to Russia, since she wasn't the mastermind, she was just a pawn used by Alexei to scam people. But while driving to the airport, they hear a news report on the radio describing the bank robbery and giving a full description of John and his car. Realizing the danger, John decides to get rid of the car, and they continue their journey on foot to avoid being recognized or arrested. They walk for hours until night falls, then decide to rest by a campfire. During the night, they talk for a long time. Nadia tells him that she has no one in her life, that her father died when she was a child, and that she had once wished Alexei were a good man who would take care of her. John begins to sympathize with her and opens up about his own past. The one time he fell in love, the girl left him, and since then he lost trust in everyone and chose to live alone so he wouldn't get hurt again. The next morning, they finally reach the airport. When they enter, John decides to leave her there and walk away. Before he goes, she thanks him for everything he's done for her and gives him a gift, asking him to open it after she leaves. John steps outside, opens the gift, and is shocked to find her father's telescope, the most precious thing she owned. Deeply moved, he decides to look through it to see if it still works. When he does, he spots Alexei and Yuri inside the airport. They've come to take Nadia back with them. John rushes to return to her, but by the time he gets there, they've already left and gotten into a car. He runs after them but can't catch up. He keeps following the road until he sees their car parked in front of a hotel. He rushes inside and tells the receptionist that 2 Russians have just checked in and asks for their room number. The receptionist refuses, saying it's against hotel policy. John then says one of the girls left something behind, her telescope, and that he just wants to return it. The receptionist agrees to deliver it himself. After the receptionist leaves with the telescope, John spots another employee, gives him some money, and asks which floor the Russians are staying on. The employee tells him that the hotel has only 1 floor and that if he looks through the windows from outside, he can find them easily. John does exactly that and finally locates their room. Through the window, he sees Alexei hiding all the stolen money inside his coat, then turning to beat Nadia, shouting that she must stay with him and never leave. Nadia looks terrified and screams for help, but no one hears her. Just then, a hotel worker knocks to deliver the telescope. After the worker leaves, John seizes the moment, sneaks into the room, and goes straight to Nadia's bag, where he finds the gun-shaped lighter. He confronts Alexei, pointing the gun at him, but Alexei laughs and says, "I'm the one who bought her that lighter for her last birthday." Then he attacks John, knocks him to the ground, and grabs a knife, pressing it against his throat, saying he's going to kill him. Nadia begs Alexei to stop, promising to do whatever he wants if he spares John's life. Alexei releases John and turns to assault Nadia, but suddenly John rises, grabs a guitar, and smashes it over Alexei's head, knocking him unconscious. A short while later, Alexei wakes up tied to a chair, screaming for Nadia to untie him. She silences him by placing tape over his mouth, then tells John that the coat contains all the money. She grabs it, along with Alexei's passport, and escapes quickly with John to the airport. There, she thanks him for everything, and he thanks her too, confessing that he truly loved her. He gives her the coat and tells her to keep it, but she refuses, saying the money inside belongs to him. John insists he doesn't want any of it and tells her to use it to raise her child. At that moment, she suggests they run away together and live in Russia. John says it sounds wonderful, but adds, "I don't even really know you." She smiles and replies, "I don't really know you either." They come up with a plan. John will use Alexei's passport, cover his face, and stay silent while passing through security so no one recognizes him. They do exactly that. Meanwhile, Alexei wakes up and is freed by Yuri, and the 2 rush to the airport to stop John and Nadia before they escape with the money. But they arrive too late. John and Nadia have already passed through security. As they walk, trying to hide their faces, Nadia finally tells him that her real name is Sophia. John smiles and replies, "I'm still John. Nothing's changed." They walk away together, having escaped with the money and each other, and the film ends there.